All right, so Three Ninjas Podcast, Domino has Jones, Bobby. And if you are looking on the tube, we got something for your oculars right now. Special guest that we got on the line right now. We have Miss Jacqueline Cottrell, aka Jack's Attack. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me on. And I'm sorry I look like a mess. I look terrible right now. I look like a whole ass mess.
Listen, my shirt is wrinkled, but you can't tell. But you know, everything is good. Glad to have you here. Now, first of all, how are you? How are you doing? I know you live in like the epicenter of the pandemic. So how does it feel to live in like Raccoon City?
Raccoon City. To be honest with you, people are acting like it's not even a pandemic. Case in point, every time we go to Walmart, people are just walking around without their masks on. Like, ain't nothing wrong, ain't nothing going on. I've been taking Uber a lot, and there was this one Uber driver, I'll never forget it, he pissed me off so much. This one Uber driver had this literal force field around like his entire car, like no joke, like around his seat or whatever like that. Didn't have no mask on, and so he had like the air conditioner on, so all of his nasty ass, whatever he might have had, was just blowing in the background. Can I fucking sue? Like it's bad down here, but for the most part, we're doing good. Like the North Caesar office is still going strong. We're still working and everything like that. Johnny and his family are good, so everything is good down here.
Good to hear. Now, if you guys did not know, Jacqueline is the digital content strategist for Noir Caesar. I know that's a comic book or a company, I should say, that you've probably been seeing in a lot of posts. And I got hip to one of Jax's videos. Somebody from our Discord put it in there. I forgot who it was. I wish I had his name. And it was early in the morning, and I see this video. Well, I hear this video of this woman like cussing out these mouth breathing knuckle
dragons
about gatekeeping, right? So it was in response to, I guess, the Crunchyroll interview with Meg Thee Stallion. And in the video, you pointed out, you know, things of racism and whitewashing and things like that. But we're gonna get to all that now. Basically, I want to know what sparked the video and the reading of us blurred.
So originally I wasn't even gonna say anything on it. One of my friends, I wasn't even gonna watch the Crunchyroll live stream. Because one of my friends hit me up, Johnny's wife Ariel, one of my business partners, and she was like, "Have you seen the comments?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to see the comments. I'm pretty sure they're all garbage, blah, 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 blah." Then finally I was just like, okay, let me just tune in. So I tuned in for like the last couple of minutes of Meg's Crunchyroll live stream, went to the comments, and I'm just like, okay, a lot. See, this is why I didn't want to read the comments. I was mad for days, but I'm just like, if I say anything now, it's gonna come off really ignorant, really just like how I don't want it to sound. So I took a couple of days. Finally, was just like, okay, I'm sick of this shit. Like, you know, people were still dunking on Meg even after like her Crunchyroll live stream, you know. And I was just like, okay, fuck it. I'm just gonna go ahead and just go in. Like, I'm gonna try and make this sound as I'm not quite educational, but you know, as not as hood rat as humanly possible sound. I'm gonna try and sound like I got some semblance of.
Now I was impressed. That shit was well put, but you cussed them niggas out.
I was trying so hard. Like I was just like, oh, I can't. Just because that's just something I've had to deal with my entire life. Literally, my entire life, I have been a nerd, and yet I've always had to deal with like gatekeeping. And I know that one thing that upset like a couple of people was saying that it was exclusively from Black men. I'm just like, no, I'm talking about in the Black community. I'm not talking about outside of the Black community. I'm not talking about all the white people, all the racist white people, you know, non-Black, non-POC people, whatever like that, who like to talk out the side of their necks. I'm talking specifically about what comes from within the Black community whenever, you know, a Black woman fixes her mouth to say, hey, I'm a nerd, I'm into nerdy shit. And then usually the response is, oh, so what do you like or whatever like that. And it's so funny because I can't pose the same question. Okay, well, you know, I know this, that, and the third about Naruto, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, whatever, but you can't tell me this, that, and the third about some of the non-shit that's not, you know, not shonen. So that's kind of what really sparked it. I was just mad as fuck that day. I don't know what the fuck was going on, like personally with me, but I was mad as fuck that day. And I'm just like, okay, let me get this out. And I almost didn't do the video. I was really nervous to put that video out. And I'm just like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. It's, you know, especially putting it on a Noir's platform. I was kind of nervous, but then I was just like, fuck it. Let's just hit that button to see what happens. And the whole time I was so anxious. I'm just like, oh man, this is going to be bad. But shockingly enough, a lot of the response was really good. So that was probably one of the best parts about that video, was seeing that there were more positive comments than like negative ones.
All right. So a lot of the feedback was good, but well, yeah. a lot of the feedback was good, but not all of it. So what were some of the like negatives of it?
Oh, you stupid bitch. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, like literally that was it. Like, and this, one of my favorite ones. Oh, this bitch probably fucks with white dudes, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right. I mean, like,
do you? No.
I mean, I do. Like, I fuck with everybody. Like, I'm a carnivore. I fuck with everybody. But like, I was just like, some of the comments were so fucking hate filled. Like, oh, she needs some dick. Oh, she's a dyke. Like, and I'm just like,
damn.
I mean,
He's
like,
going in.
not all of that's like completely untrue, but like, if we're gonna have that conversation, let's focus some of that, like, you know, let's just try and focus some of it. But a lot of it was just pretty much just like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or oh, you know, that's not true. Black girls aren't real nerds because, you know, I got teased in middle school or some shit like that by this hot black girl and blah 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 blah. You know, that's not true. That's not my experience. You know, our I remember one of the other comments was, "This is why I only fuck with white women." That was my favorite comment, just because
God damn.
I bust out laughing when I saw that shit. It's like, this is why I only fuck with white women, man.
Yeah, show them.
Wow. I'm like, well, they can have you, bro. They can have you.
God damn.
They ain't missing out on much, but it was a lot of, like, it was a lot. Like, I won't say it was a lot, but a good majority of it, unfortunately, sadly, came from a lot of the black guys who disagreed with that video. Like, a lot of it.
They don't get no pussy. You know they don't get pussy. So they upset that a black girl showed a mirror to them, was like, hey, this is you who I'm talking about.
I'm curious of the age demographic. God damn.
I mean, age demographic, it had to be, I would say, from like 20 to like 50 something, living in your basement ass niggas. Like,
Cause I had to school a nigga on our page one time. You remember when you post that Meg Thee Stallion shit and one dude was like, "Oh, she only knows the popular anime." Like, nigga, that's how you get into it. What the fuck you talking about?
Yo, you can't. It's certain motherfuckers that you shouldn't go do these back and forth with, and that's one of them. But when she put up that video, I was just like, wonder what this backlash is. Like, you know what? I kind of want to talk to her now to see what happened. So now, what was Johnny's stance on it?
They all like agreed. Like they're always talking about like dudes like that too. That's the funny thing. Like, we just started doing our podcast and they were saying, yeah, man, we agree. Like, it's always the same dudes always talking about it. Like, one of my favorite people who works with us is Marcus, you know, and I think he's one of the oldest guys who works with us. You know, he's a teacher and stuff like that. And no bullshit. Like, he's very no bullshit. Like, and he's always talking shit about these guys. So, you know, Johnny and them were very supportive and everything like that. And they completely agreed. So that was nice to have. I was very nervous about that. Like, I was really nervous more about their reaction and my partner's reaction to it. Like, so, but it was all extremely supportive. So I was pretty happy about that.
Okay, cool. All right, now, what can we do better as three cisgender black nerds? What can we do to, I guess, curtail this or stop this attack on black women specifically?
Keep supporting black women who are nerds. Watch genres, you know, watch and read genres outside of shonen. You know, if a girl says, oh, I'm into anime and manga, whatever like that, you know, it's okay to ask, you know, hey, what are you into? But don't quiz her. You know, don't be demanding answers from her. Like, oh yeah, if you like this, then what happened, you know, in this chapter? Or, hey, I see you wear that Naruto shirt, you know, what episode did this irrelevant shit happen in, or something like that? You know, just like get to know her.
God weakness or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Like, just don't quiz. Don't be constantly quizzing black women. Like, if she says she's a nerd, just take her at face value. And I'm sorry, but like, I don't know anybody who would complain, especially about hot black women getting into this shit. Like, I don't know anybody who would be complaining about that. Like, so
we
like,
don't complain, but we do have our suspicions sometimes.
Let me hear the suspicions. Like, I'm all ears for this.
No, it's just the fact the aesthetic.
No, don't look so startled. No.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's the aesthetic of women. Is like, yo, you way too fucking fine to just be knowing like Naruto and like One Piece and watch all the episodes and shit. It's like, there's no way in hell. It's usually just the aesthetic, nothing else. Mm-hmm. So that's, well, for me, I'm just speak for me. I want to say. Now, can you speak to like a personal experience that has happened to you?
Oh God, all the time. So my most recent, okay, perfect example. My most recent video that I did for Inuyasha or whatever like that, someone straight up in the comment asked me, well, how do they know like these random facts about like this one character, whatever like that? I'm just like, God damn it. Another good example. We were at, oh God, we were at. Oh, I'll give you the best example I can. As a matter of fact, it involves Namiwear and me and Ariel yet again.
Okay.
So Namiwear, our clothing brand, makes these dope ass like anime themed stuff. I had on my Naruto jacket and Ariel had on her Tanjiro jacket. We were at downtown in Charlotte, and this one guy, and he was black, walked right up to us, and he's like, "Yo, do you know what that's from?" And we're just looking at him like, No, we don't know what this is from. Please, great old niggerologist, educate us, please. Like, please educate us. Like that made us mad because like at first we were just like he was dead. So he was like, "Yo, do you know what that's from? That's dope." And I'm just like, "No, we just wear it because we think it's cool." Like, of course we fucking know what it's from. Like, and that was real recent. That I want to say that was like maybe a month and a half ago when that shit happened. But usually, and that's another thing, especially because I'm the only like femme presenting one at Noir right now. Whenever we go to like conventions and shit like that, it'll usually be, "Oh, this is just a booth babe. Like, I can't talk to her about anything like that." A booth babe, yeah.
Damn.
So it took me a long time to get out of that because I'm just like, all right, goddamn it, listen, like I'm not just a booth babe. I'm part of the company. Like, I have a say in like certain things that happen within the company, but like I'm not just a booth babe. And then a certain company, I'm not gonna name no names, that we have a very strong rivalry with, or I'm not even gonna say it's a rivalry. It's like they think they have a rivalry with us, but they just like to talk their shit. Right. The owner of this company, and I'll never forget it. I will go to my grave mad about this shit. We had a panel together. I want to say a couple of years back, and I was talking about the lack of Black women in anime, not dark-skinned women, but like Black women in anime. And he cut me off in the middle of the panel saying, "Well, no, there's plenty of Black women. I've seen plenty of Black women, blah, 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 from back in the day." And he's like significantly older than I was. And that pissed me off all the way. Like, so that's another good example of it. This is from a supposedly respectable company. But I'm sorry, I hate this dude. I will go to my grave hating this dude. I'm so sorry. Don't know this company like this. Let's put it this way. Like, don't nobody at this company like this man. Like, at all. Period. In the subject. But the fact that he chose to speak over me and my experiences like that just pissed me off. And of course he's Black. But like that really like that was one of the main experiences I think I can point to, at least recently and within like the last like couple of years, that I can point to like right off the bat. For the most part, it's just internet harassment. Like, "Oh, how do you know like what you're talking about? Like, how do you know what this character does? How do you know just all these other things?" So that's usually what it is. That's almost exactly that's usually what it boils down to. Like, if I put up a video talking about like, because I like to do in-depth reviews of shit like that, it'll usually be somebody it'll be at least one or two comments trying to correct me on the shit that I know what I'm talking about. And they
actually.
Well, actually, yeah, that guy. So I would say
that gotta be on a shirt.
Quite common. I would say that it is quite common, but for the most part, like a lot of the reception to like the videos I do and everything like that have been really, really positive. So I'd like to say it's only a small margin of these dudes who are always talking this shit.
Okay, cool. All right, now on past episode, we talked about growing up as nerds and being Black nerds, I guess. Now, what's your experience growing up as a Black nerd? When did you realize that you were a nerd?
Oh Lord. So my first ever anime was Crying Freeman, which I watched when I was like yay high. Like I must have been like 10, 9. Like I was a kid when I first saw this. And I was like, this is very different from a lot of the cartoons or whatever that I'm so used to watching to. Namely, because there was so much sex and violence and tattooing and shit like that. And I'm I can get into this shit.
Wait, so
like,
how come do it? Like, did you buy like a video or something? Or like
No, it was my neighbor's brother's video, and his sister snuck it so we could watch it.
Got you.
Just there was like a ton of sex in it, because we were like kids. And so we were watching, and I'm just like, this is a cartoon. Like, I didn't know what anime was at that point. And I'm like, this is a cartoon, right? And then like her brother or some shit was explaining, like, "No, man, that's anime." And I'm just like, well, all right then. And I kind of forgot about it until a couple of years later. And then Sailor Moon came out, and then Card Captors came out, and I'm just like, oh, I could really get into this shit. And then I started reading manga and getting into the stuff, they'd have like the old Barnes and Noble and other like bookstores, libraries and shit like that. And I'd go straight there because I felt like, anime and manga gave me something that I was lacking from Western comics at the time. I felt like they were unafraid to talk about a lot of the shit, certain Western animations or whatever are afraid to talk about. So I knew very early I was a nerd. And especially when I got into gaming very, very young. I think my parents were very concerned because my sister was playing with Barbies, but I wanted like the newest Sega Genesis and PlayStation, all that shit like that. So they're like, oh Lord, where have we gone wrong? But I've always been a nerd. So, and I think growing up, especially growing up on the south side of Chicago, it was rough. It was rough. I got called a white girl. Like, why do you like that white people shit? And I didn't realize that what I liked was normal until I moved away from Chicago and I moved to the suburbs for high school. Long story. I moved to the suburbs for high school and started meeting like different people, like tons of different people. Other Black kids were into the stuff that I was into. Realized we didn't have an anime club. So I was just like, well, I want to start an anime club here at the school. Started an anime club. And I think it shocked a lot of kids, especially because we went to a very white school. Like it was predominantly white. When they walked in on the first day anime club, it was just like, you're the president. Like, right. So that was kind of a shock for them as well. But I would say growing up, like it was rough because it had me real confused about myself for a long time, like kind of hating myself. Like, well, I wish I liked more popular things. Like everyone's listening to B2K. I'm listening to like this, nobody understands like this Japanese ass song. I'm like, hyped over that shit. And I'm just like, maybe I am a little weird. But then, as I grew up, I just kind of started to embrace it more, especially when I realized my younger cousin was into it. And then one of my oldest aunts is a big ass nerd herself. Like she's a hardcore gamer. Like she plays like professionally. So it was really, it was dope. So it was a pretty rough road growing up, especially being a Black girl nerd. But I would say the older I got, the more I became more comfortable with it, got into cosplay. And it's pretty much just been like an upward, I'm sorry, I keep seeing your Tiger King thing.
You want, I could change it.
No, don't change it, please. Leave it up. But that's pretty much what the experience for me has been like. And so far, it's been an overall positive one. I will definitely say I didn't get super comfortable with everything until maybe my late teens when I started, branching out, going to conventions and shit like that. But even then, it was like, I had all the Black kids at school looking at me just like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Like, she is just
right.
Like, yeah. So that's been my experience for the most part.
Now you weren't like the awkward Black kid. It was just like, oh, she like anime and shit like that. You wasn't like.
No, I was the terribly awkward Black kid.
Okay,
like,
you was one of them. Okay,
I was one of the embarrassingly. I wasn't wearing like the Naruto headbands and running back and forth like in the school and shit like that. Like, no, I was just.
You went too far.
I was just awkward. Like I was just socially awkward. It couldn't be helped and shit like that. Like I was wearing like cosplay to school or whatever like that. Now that's something I did enjoy doing.
Oh,
I would wear yeah, I was that kid. Stop laughing at me, damn it.
Now that shit is dope to be that like comfortable with yourself having teen and in high school. Like, yo, fuck y'all, yo. I'm wearing my I look good.
I couldn't do it, man.
Nah, I couldn't do that shit either.
Couldn't do it. Shit, I remember I told you about my boy when you tried to power up. I was like, nah, I don't see it, bro. I don't see it.
Talk to that nigga no more either. See. Now, did you face any bullying when you did stuff like that?
Oh God, yeah, all the time. All the fucking time. Like, and usually it was always along the vein of like, you want to be a white girl so bad. Like, even from in my family, that's the best part. Whenever it came from like my parents, that would always be the funny part, especially because most of my cosplays were usually skimpy. So they, of course my dad would have an issue with it. My mom would be like, you know what, I'm just gonna let you do you, sweetheart. Like you knew she wanted to say some shit. And then of course, my grandmother is extremely religious. So she definitely thought there was something wrong with me. She thought she thought that was some devil shit.
In that child.
I'm just like, look, grandma, like it's not no devil shit or anything like that. But then like she wouldn't let me watch Inuyasha, like all of that shit.
Oh, that's devil shit.
That was some devil shit to her.
Yo, that's like my mom. My mom told me not to watch Dragon Ball Z because of Mr. Satan. Remember that shit? Because I had the sub, and they was like Mr. Satan. She's like, oh my god, what is this devil shit? I was like, oops, my bad.
Yeah, my boy's mom burned his Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
God damn.
Demon shit. I was like, damn, son.
That nigga ain't say he was gay. He just like anime.
What?
Tell your parents you're gay. No, not my son. Like,
not my son.
Like, what? It's not that serious, my nigga. Now, at what point did you get the fuck out of Chicago and be like, hey, this ain't the place for me?
Oh God. So I had to move around a lot, family situation and shit like that. But I had to move around a lot when I was younger. So I finally left Chicago on my own when I was like 20, and I'm just like, fuck it, I need something new, I need something different. And one of my girls was living in California. She was a model for the Suicide Girls, and she's just like, you totally come out here and model. I'm just like, I've never been on the West Coast. I have never left the Midwest. Like, fuck it, let's go. So I bought a one-way ticket out there and like lived in California. And to this very day, like that is home for me. But that's when I really like just went wild with the shit. Like I was going to anime conventions, like I was modeling for Suicide Girls. We did different events and all that shit like that. So that's when I finally left Chicago. I want to say I was maybe 21, 22 or whatever like that. So that's probably when I left Chicago and like have never looked back.
Now, when you went to California, did they know what you were doing? Your parents, did they know what you were doing out there?
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't shy about that shit. I was posting all my nudes and lewds and shit like that on Facebook. Like, look at my new Suicide Girls. And of course, I'd always get like, I was proud of that shit. Like, I was damn proud of that shit. And then, especially when I went pink and became an official Suicide Girl, like I went like nuts with that shit. But every time I posted some shit, of course, I'd always get a call from like my family member. My mom is totally cool with that. Like, my mom is pro ho. Like, point blank, like, you would be surprised. Like, you want to know where I get it from? I get it from my mom. Like, she is the most supportive person ever. But it would always be someone in my dad's side of the family being like, "Oh, what's she doing now? She's got her titties out, and I'm so disgusted." And da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? Here's some more loots for you. Bye. That would just be my whole attitude.
Now, how long did the modeling last with Suicide Girls?
Oh God, I was with Suicide Girls, I want to say for 2 years. But there was something I didn't like about it though, because they had a very, very, very limited stock of Black women. Like, I want to say, aside, the only Black Suicide Girls I've ever seen, and I mean, like, there's like only like you can count them on like one hand. It's Malou, that's my best girl. I love her so much. There's Midnight Sun, but she's brand new. And then there's one Black girl who does the Blackheart Burlesque tour. But I'm just like, y'all need more Black girls. Like, y'all buying all these like sets from like white girls and shit like that. Like, and we need like more like diversity and representation. They're like, no, that's okay. We good. Like, so
we good.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, fuck y'all. I'm out. This was fun. And you know, I just continued to model on my own and do like my own thing. Did Cosplay Deviants, which was a lot of fun. Like that was a lot of fun. So, but that's what my repertoire has been. Now I'm working for Noir and doing voice acting and stuff like that. And yeah, that is what I am doing.
All right. So how'd you hook up with Johnny? How'd you meet him and get down with Noir?
I want to say, oh God, it was like 3 years ago when someone told me that Noir was looking for someone to do like videos and blogs and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck it. Okay, why not? Let me give it a try. Because I had been working at one point with the Jace Hall show. And, you know, I missed being like, you know, doing journalism and stuff like that. So I hooked up with Noir, started talking to Corey, who is the vice president of the company. And they brought me on. And it's been a slow process because there was a lot going on in my life like 3 years ago. But it was like a process because, you know, they really worked with me. They helped me find, you know, what it is that I want to do. And gradually I figured out what it was that I wanted to do and how I could help the company grow, how I could help, you know, diversify the company. And yeah, it's been a lot of work, but Noir has been exceptionally patient with me because there were times like where I literally could not do my job. And I'm just like, okay, be patient with me. I'm still trying to like get my footing, find my bearings and stuff like that, like all this other crazy shit. But they were really patient with me. You know, I told them I wanted to do voice acting. Johnny hooked me up with like several microphones, you know. I told them that I really wanted to start being more professional. And this was very recent too. And so our music producer, Will, was just like, I'm gonna teach you how to, you know, use like Adobe. I'm gonna teach you how to, you know, use your microphone and shit like that. Like that way, you know, you get good sound. And after that, I just started interviewing different voice actors, talking with them. I know I just interviewed John Eric Bentley, who was the voice of Barrett in Final Fantasy. He gave me a lot of great tips. He's a really dope guy. And that's pretty much like where I've grown. I've grown so much since being with Noir. I would have to say like a lot. I've grown a lot as a person.
Now, how's everything been during the pandemic? Is everybody still staying creative and, you know,
everyone's still staying. Oh yeah, everybody's still staying very creative. I know Johnny and his wife just left for a trip. I believe, but everybody's still staying creative. You know, we got something huge coming out. I can't talk about it. I wish I could. Otherwise, I'd just be spewing it. But like, we've got something very, very huge. So I'm very excited about that. And like, nothing is slowed down. If anything, like we've sped up. Like we're at full speed. You know, and it's only going to keep getting better and better and better.
Okay. Now I'm looking at your Instagram bio, and it's one of the most interesting bios I've ever seen in my fucking life, right? 'Cause I don't none of this shit, right? Now I need you to educate me because I'm stupid on a lot of this shit. Now,
No, I'm happy to go for it.
please. So, autistic blurred.
Yes.
So you're on the spectrum.
Yes.
Okay. So what type of autism do you have?
I pretty much have, and I don't know if you guys can notice it, but like I have a slight speech impediment. If I get too excited about something too fast, my shit will run together like real fast, so you won't be able like to hear what I'm talking about. I'm the type of autistic where my memory is complete garbage, unfortunately. Like I can remember.
I think you got that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I am so sorry.
I think my boy got that.
You just call me autistic.
Right.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Got that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. But as far as that goes, I would say my math is absolutely terrible. Like when I say my math is terrible, I mean my math is bad. Like if you were to ask me to divide or multiply something right now, I'd look at you and probably panic for a second and then be like, next question.
Right.
The way I type is really weird. You know, like how people do like home row or whatever like that. Like my typing is like, you know, like the old, oh God, there's a word for it's like hunt and peck, I guess they call it. Except it's
yeah.
with like 90 words with like 90 words per minute. Yeah, like that's something weird that I can do. I'm weirdly ambidextrous, and even though like my short-term memory is shit, like I can remember random ass facts. So like I guess there's a specific word for it. So I have my hyperfixations, which I'm able to kind of like work into my videos. So like I love psychology and sociology. So I use that to break down like a lot of the things that I do in my videos, a lot of different anime series, a lot of different anime characters. And I would say that's my type of autistic. Like you'd notice it. Like I don't know if it's like shining through. Like right now, I'm kind of awkward about that. I'm sorry.
We all fucking awkward. Just go ahead. Just live.
But that's pretty much where I fall like on the spectrum.
Okay, yeah, because I got an uncle who's autistic and like he's nothing, you know, like you, but he's like Rain Man, I want to say.
Yeah.
Rain Man. So like he don't like he's real closed off, shy. He don't like crowds and you know people like that. But like if you ask him like what was like the number one song in 1984, like he could tell you like
he could tell you right off the bat, yeah. No, and I hear him with I hear you loud and clear with like the loud spaces and stuff like that. That's another thing I really struggle with. Like that's why it took me so long to adjust to conventions. Like if I'm in a new place, it's just like I don't know which way to look. Like I'm panicking. I'm just like, where are all the exits so I know where I can leave? Like it's pretty bad. Like even going to Walmart's like a fucking hassle, but it's just like I've gotten better over the years with it. Like I'm just very good at hiding it now. Like so if I just get like dead quiet, like I'll be out with friends and suddenly I'll just go like dead quiet and people will be like, you all like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just internally screaming. I'm ready to go home. My social battery is exhausted. Like, but other than that, like it's pretty good. It's pretty manageable to the point where like I can be at conventions and still hang out with my friends and stuff like that and be perfectly fine. So
all right, so you got your tips and tricks to deal with it and not
pretty much.
You know, okay, got you. All right, now non-binary pan.
Yes.
What is that?
So non-binary is pretty much I don't identify as either male or female. Like I identify as just somewhere right in the middle where I'm not on the spectrum of gender. So essentially, like if you were to say, what are your pronouns? I'd be like he, she, they, them.
Okay.
So it really doesn't matter. As far as being pansexual, that goes back to me being a carnivore. So doesn't matter, you know, what your gender is. Doesn't matter, you know, what you were assigned as birth. You know, are you a man, woman, transgender, what have you? You don't have a gender. You do have a gender. Like I'm all for it. Like regardless.
So you just receive love, don't matter who it's from. It's just male, female, or you know, you just love, or
yeah,
okay,
pretty much. Like.
All right, and your pronouns are he, she, them, they.
Yep, just pretty much everything. Like, so I wouldn't be offended if you were to say she or they or he or whatever. So just to make it like easy on everyone. I'm just like, at first I was gonna go with like they, them, but I'm just like, we'll do it all. We'll do it all. So.
Okay. All right. Now, when did you realize all of this though? Was this early on in like childhood, or did you have to come into this as well?
It was early on in childhood because I always had more, I guess, more masculine interests, like again, video games, whatever like that. But because my family, specifically like my dad's side, was brutally homophobic, like I got scared straight for a long time. So even if I was like interested in like this girl or whatever like that, or this especially a feminine looking guy, like I would be like, nope, I am just what's the word for it? Strictly dickly. That's it. Nope, that's me. Proud. Like that's it. But as I got older, you know, and I started kind of playing with the idea of gender, I'm just like, I think I want to be more androgynous. You know, I want to lean towards not looking quite male, not looking quite female. But sometimes, you know, I want to wear like my little hoop earrings and a cute dress. Other times I want to wear like a full suit. Like it was an entire process that took maybe a couple of years. Like I think I've been out for like 6 or 7 years. And it was only until maybe fully recently that now that I know there's a word for it, that I was able to fully like get comfortable with it and get comfortable with myself. Because like at one point I was like, okay, well, I'm bisexual, obviously, duh. But like one of my partners was transgender and they didn't identify, you know, as either male or female. So I'm just like, okay, so where does that leave me? And they had to kind of educate me on that. And one of my friends who's not genderqueer. Oh, I can't think of it. Yeah, genderqueer, I guess is what we'll call them. They had to educate me a lot on like what that meant. And, you know, they had the whole top surgery, even though they were born female at birth. So, and I've known this person like my entire life since high school. So to watch them transition, I feel like was a huge part of how I was able to come out and learn to love and identify myself and, you know, just be comfortable with like who I am.
Okay. Now, how did your grandmother take this? Is she still with us?
Yeah, she's still with us.
Okay. Now, have you come out to your family? Okay, so when you was modeling, obviously you came out like, "Hey, these my titties, cool." But you know, sexuality is something different. Where it's like, okay, you know, I identify as, you know, ABC. Have you told them, and what's their response if you have told them?
Well, my dad, of course, hit the roof, you know, especially when I told him that I'm going to legally change my name from Jacqueline to Jax. Because I've been going by Jax for. Yeah, I know. Like, especially because Jacqueline's my grandmother's name. So
come on, damn.
Yeah. But I'm just like, listen, I'm not going to change it completely. I'm just going to, you know, abbreviate it because, you know, Jax just doesn't feel like, I feel like Jacqueline Elizabeth is so hyper feminine. Like it's a lovely name, but it just doesn't feel like my name, you know. And I've been Jax for years and years. So when I told my dad that I was gonna, just like most of the things in my life, I told people via Facebook that I was getting ready, that I'd started the process of legally changing my name. My dad hit the fucking ceiling. My grandmother kind of loosened up, kind of sort of like, it's still kind of, oh, what's wrong with the name I gave you? And I'm just like, well, what's the name, you know, you guys gave me? Plus, let's be real, if I can be real for a second, like my mom only named me after my father's mother to try and get him to stick around, and obviously that didn't work out. So I'm all too excited to ditch that name. I'm just like, I'm all too excited to ditch that name. But for the most part, it was a purely personal decision for me to just, you know, come out to my family, and they were just like, all right, like, you know, we've always known you've been the wayward one of the family. We're not surprised by this anymore, but you know, it's taking them a minute to kind of come around to what I think fully. Like my sister is fully supportive of it. Most of my friends are, but for the most part, like my sister and my mom are like my two biggest supporters.
Have you had any pushback from it, like from friends or family or anything like that?
Just family who are just like, oh, you must be so confused and pray it away, etc., like that. And I'm just like, no, I'm not confused. Like the fact that you guys are trying to tell me that I'm confused is kind of hurtful because it took me so long to get to this point in my life where I'm comfortable saying it. So I don't choose to limit myself to one gender or one identity. Like I have it all. So that's just how I choose to look at it.
Okay, cool. So nobody's cut you off or be like, nah, I don't fuck with her because she.
Oh, no. Fortunately, no. Like I'm one of the few fortunate people, I'd like to say, like at least among my friends that still have connections and ties like with their family. So
okay. So now you were born in Chicago, you moved to Cali for a little bit, but you're currently in New York, correct?
I'm in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
You're in South Carolina. Okay. Where the hell I get New York from? I don't know. So now, where did you feel most at home or most like yourself?
California, hands down, because I am in the South, and like I moved down here.
Yeah. Being in the South and being non-binary pan, how does that work out?
Well, everyone's always trying to shove religion in my face, which is, you know, fun. It's like an unwanted dick pic, just Jesus everywhere. Just, I mean, that's how it is though. Like I can't be super loud about it while I'm here, but at the same time, it's just like I don't give a shit. Like case in point, like I'm still my completely out there self, but like I would definitely say that I felt way more at home in California, and if given the opportunity, I would move back to California in a heartbeat. But I'm here because I believe in North Caesar, and I wanted to help out with the office. And of course, my partner moved down here, so and he works with Noir too. So I really wanted to be down here and help make Noir successful.
Okay, so the name Jax, right? You know, obviously from Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
So, what games did you play growing up?
Oh God. So I was a huge Nintendo fan, huge Sega fan. My first game, I want to say, God, what was it? Was Sonic the Hedgehog 3 with Sonic and Knuckles. And then from then on, it was just like a progression. I played Legend of Zelda, Mario, oh God. Fighting games, especially fighting games. Tried to get into sports games, not so much, but I grew up around like guys, but like not so much. Mainly fighting games like Soul Calibur, lots of PlayStation games, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, like all the old school classics. And like I am still a gamer like to this very day. I'm looking at Persona 5 Royal like as we speak. So
yeah, I still gotta play that.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Did you play the first one?
No, my sister played all of them. I haven't touched not one.
It's great. It's a masterpiece of a video game. Like if you've got the time for it, it's long as fuck, but I mean
like
it's a great
hours.
game.
100 hours.
Nah, I'm good.
Let me see how many hours.
I still ain't beat Skyrim.
Right
shit, fuck that.
You're never gonna beat Skyrim.
I'm currently looking at 161 hours and 43 minutes on this game so far.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, that's one of them games you gotta take your time. But
yeah.
Oh my God. All right. I don't think I'll be getting around to that shit, guys.
I do it. Just play a little bit here, a little bit there.
I don't know about that.
Go play some baseball.
You said what?
Play some baseball. You know what I mean?
You can play baseball.
Yeah, you can mash it in that game.
I thought that shit was about like spirits and like getting like you're fucking forced to do shit. Nah, all that.
Yeah, it's like a life simulator / RPG all mixed together. So like you go to school, you can go on dates, fucking play baseball. Like I'm telling you, it's a whole bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to school again.
I learned something.
So now, as the digital content strategist of Noir Caesar, what kind of content do you guys push out there? It's not strictly all Noir Caesar shit, or is it like, what is it? What's your main job? I want to say.
So my main job is to connect with our fans, put out different content, no matter what it may be, like the Meg Thee Stallion video, reviews on just about anything and everything. Like we're recently starting to branch more out because I think the Meg Thee Stallion video was the first time we'd actually kind of stepped away from anime and talking about anime video games and stuff like that. So we're definitely starting to branch out more. I know that in the future, what we will be doing is, we'll be covering different old school shows, different series, like in general, like different movies. So we're looking to become like all encompassing. We are an animation studio, we are a manga and comic publishing company, but we also want to go beyond that and start to expand out more. So I know that we've got a lot of different titles coming out. I want to say coming out very soon. This kind of coincides with like the big news that we have, but like our current titles are about to get like major overhauls and updates and stuff like that. We've got a lot of different new titles coming out, different genres that we're adding to our repertoire, so to speak. So I would definitely say we're branching out. We're in a very major transitory time in our lives right now, and it's great. Like it's about to be enormous. It's about to be great.
Okay. All right, so now if someone wanted to get into a manga or a comic book from Noir Caesar, what would they start with, or what do you recommend?
Right off the bat, I recommend Sorority by Mikhail Sebastian and George Watson. That's probably one of our best. I want to say it's one of our best sellers next to Exogenesis. So either Sorority or Exogenesis by Nicholas Draper Ivy. those would be the two I would start off with hands down. And then there's another one called Space Pop, which is very sci-fi. It's kind of like a space opera. I think that's another fun title people would like. So the three ones I would say are Space Pop, Exogenesis, and Sorority, and Try Again. Especially if you like dark, gritty crime stuff. But those four titles I would say hands down start off with.
Okay. All right, cool. Now, Johnny used to be a NBA player, correct?
That's right. Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets. Okay, I think I might want to talk to him too. So if you can heard, getting his,
of course,
they cool, they all right. So just real quick, So now, that's basically all I got. Usually at the end of the show, we do a pick. So anything that you like watching, playing, reading, anything like that. So what are you reading right now? Pick for the fans to check out. Could be anything. Could be comic books, video games, whatever the fuck.
Okay, I am reading this really, really sappy romance manga called "Will You Marry Me Again If You Are Reborn?" It's super sappy, but for people who don't like romance, whatever like that, I'm reading a lot of Junji Ito, which is a complete contrast. He's all about that gore and horror and really, really scary, supernatural, fucked up shit. So anything Junji Ito. I just finished Tomie, which is a wild ride, but I love Junji Ito shit so much. Just finished Demon Slayer. Lots of people are divided on that.
Yeah, it's a little.
Did you review that?
I did not. No, I need to though. I need to review that shit. Like I've got to, because people are losing their fucking minds.
Here's somebody else's thoughts on that. I need to know.
All right, so I like happy endings.
I don't.
I like happy endings, so I was kind of okay with how it ended. Like, I was okay with how it ended. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was cute. It was nice to see them, in a normal type of setting. But for the most part, I'm just like, I don't know. It felt kind of rushed. Like it wasn't thought out like all the way through. But like, I have no idea what the creator was thinking. But that's just kind of how it felt to me. Like, well, we're gonna go from having them in this feudal kind of era to we're gonna put them in a present, which I feel like a lot of anime does, and which I feel like a lot of fans want to see. But for me, it was such an abrupt shift that it was just like, this feels more like fan service than it did like a completely fleshed out story. Okay. So I have mixed feelings.
Okay. All right. So what can we expect from Noir Caesar coming up soon? I know you can't talk about the big reveal, but what else can you talk about?
That's honestly it. The big reveal is what we're building up to. We've got a lot of new different titles we got coming out. Again, different genres we're adding, because for the most part, we're geared more towards the shonen genre now. We're branching out outside of that. We got a romance genre. We got a romance coming out. I know we've got more action coming out. What else? And I know that for our next big project, we've got a couple of new animations coming out. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Okay, good. Cool. All right. So Jax, formerly known as Jacqueline.
Thank you.
So give everyone your social media and when they can find you and Noir Caesar.
All right, you can find me at JAXATTAXX. God, I hate that it's so long, but that's where you can find me at. And you can find me also at Noir Caesar, so NOICAESAR. At Noir Caesar, we're everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got to get our Twitter numbers up, but that's where you can definitely find us. And of course, our website where you can check out our manga, www.noircaesar.com.
Okay. All right. So y'all got anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. So Jax, keep cussing these niggas out. Tell them what the fuck it is. All right.
Will do. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
No problem. Coming on. You be safe out there.
You too. Take care, y'all.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace.